What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if the game 12 Minutes was disappointing. Then to kind of open this up and to kind of get this stuff out of the way early, look, I've been anticipating this game and looking forward to this game for 6 years, and I've made several videos on it. I did beat it. We talked about it. I did 2 different videos on kind of how to beat the game. We've talked about the twist / the ending, and so in this one, I want to talk about the game not necessarily in a review fashion, but just as the game in terms of did it work? Did it not work? Was it disappointing? Was it not? And a lot of this kind of sparks from the length of the game. Now look, I got the game on Game Pass. Actually, I'm still technically in the final month of only paying the $1 for the first 3 months of Game Pass. So technically, I got this game as part of a $1 deal, right? Next month, I start paying $15 a month for it. So I got it, let's just say for free. I believe the game is $25 if you do not get it through Game Pass, okay? So we're talking about a game that's $25 or free or, part of Game Pass, however you want to look at it. And look, I'm actually kind of torn on this game in terms of disappointing or not, because I think overall, I would say, like, gut feeling right now, staring at my audio waves of my voice, I would say I liked it. I would say I enjoyed my time. I'm happy I played it. I'm happy it finally came out. That's really the biggest thing, and maybe that kind of clouds my judgment. Maybe it really does. That I have been such a fan of this game and have been like kind of looking out for it for so long. Now, again, as I've said before, like that doesn't to me mean anything, right? If the game sucks, I'm gonna call it out. Now, again, I think factually or in terms of my own personal opinion, I did like the game. I would say the length was a little shocking, but that's not, well, I would say it's not their fault, but I believe the creator, so let me tell you a story. This goes into this kind of disappointing aspect of it. Originally, this game was talked about as like a 15-ish hour game. Now, that is an incredibly long time to play this game, and I think if you played this game for 15 hours, you would absolutely hate it, and I'll talk about that in a second. You would despise this game, okay? Then, a few months later, it was talked about as a 6 to 8 hour game. Now, I don't know how it went from like 15 to 17 to then 6 to 8. I have zero idea how it drops 10 hours in just a few months' time in terms of like communication. And it's not like poor communication. These were the people that made the game. They said this. So, that is a big jump. So 6 to 8 hours. Okay. A game that's a 12-minute time loop, which, by the way, is actually kind of incorrect. It's really 10 minutes, around 10 minutes that the game will loop itself. So, that's a lot. If you play the game 6 to 8 hours, that's a pretty meaty game. And by the way, I'm not saying the game needs to be any certain length of time. It depends on the game itself, right? That's a very important point to make. I beat the game in around 2 hours and 40 minutes. The game actually crashed on me literally in my last loop, like right before the ending, so I had to replay the final loop again. So it took me like 2 hours, 40 minutes, somewhere in that range. I will admit, I did look up a guide at one point just to kind of see if I was on the right page, to kind of see what I'm going to have to do in like coming loops. I didn't spoil it for myself, and I didn't like, have the checklist like on my phone, like staring at the phone and then playing it. I figured most of it out by myself, okay? And so I beat it in that amount of time. I would say 2.5 hours feels pretty short for what I thought this, for a game that has been in my mind for 6 years, to beat it in literally an afternoon. I made the videos of the day. I made a couple videos. I played the game, and then I made videos right after. I literally was kind of just an intermission to like my work day. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's weird. The twist, I don't know if I want to go into spoilers or not. I think the story as it is pretty darn solid. I don't really think there's anything wrong majorly, but the twist is massive, I would say. And there's like 2 different parts of the twist. I would say the first part is probably more obvious as to what your character has done. Let's just say that for non-spoiler purposes. I feel like that could maybe be a little bit more obvious in terms of your relationships and the past and stuff like that. I think it's a little bit more shocking, okay? Maybe I was supposed to expect that, or maybe we should have expected that based off of the reviews, because the reviews did talk about that a lot of this game hangs in the balance of kind of big shocks. Like if you don't buy the shocks, or you don't go along with it, or you just don't like them, the game is probably going to drop, because the gameplay... Now, here's what I'll say. I actually was fine with the gameplay the entire time. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I guess if you're only used to playing, like, AAA, say, like, action games, and you've only played it like that, like, yeah, obviously this game's going to be pretty different. But I think from an indie developer, from a game that took so, even though it took so long, you know, I mean, I honestly don't even care about that. I think the game functioned well. Like I said, it crashed one time, but in terms of like moving and clicking, fine. I would say I would agree with the biggest criticism that I have seen is the lack of freedom, lack of being able to do things multiple ways. Okay, when I think about this game now, most of the stuff that I just said, visuals, performance, acting. By the way, acting is phenomenal. I really like the acting. Daisy Ridley, I think specifically, if you didn't know that was Daisy Ridley going in, I don't think you would have been able to figure it out. In fact, they even credited her dialect coach at the end of the game, and I think they should have, because that man, I'm not saying like she's terrible, but that man obviously did a really good job. I knew it was her, so I could tell, and you can kind of tell here and there, but overall, like, she pulls off the act. Like, she lost her accent to gain kind of a new accent very, very well. So I'm really impressed by that. So the acting, the characters, they're all fine. The biggest thing I would say is the freedom. You have to do everything exactly. Well, it's not. That's the tough thing. Technically, there are freedom. You are allowed to do other things, and also there are, I believe, 6 endings in all. One ending, in fact, and I guess I'm going to spoil this, if you, in the first loop, it has to be in the first loop, if you literally do nothing the entire time, you will get an ending of the game. Now, it restarts you, it'll start you on loop 2 after that, but you can get a quote-unquote ending where you get an achievement. There are 6 of them. 5 of them you will repeat. Only one of them is the actual true ending. There is another ending that is a little bit more concrete, but still, it brings you back to the main menu, and if you press continue, you're still in the loop. You open you go in the hallway, you open the door, and you're still part of it. So, technically, there's only one main, actual ending of the entire game. The rest, so what I'm trying to say is, in those ways, you can actually do things. Like, I'll be honest, so I got the true ending, but I looked up a lot of the other ones, and one of them, again, to, I guess, spoil it a little bit, is actually in the trailer when they're dancing, kind of in between where their table is and the living room. I saw that as part of the trailer, and I actually thought about that when I was playing the game. It's like, I wonder if I'm going to see that scene. That's actually one of the endings, okay? So, that's cool. It's cool to see, again, though, very specific things you'd have to do to get certain endings of the game. There's some actually kind of crazy ones of things that you have to let happen and not let happen to achieve some sort of ending to the game. So, and those are cool. I actually like that quite a bit, but I do understand the idea that you have to follow along pretty well. Like, order of questions doesn't always matter. In fact, most times it doesn't matter in the game, but it is a step-by-step thing. You have to do this, then you have to do that, then you have to do this. There's a little bit of an overcross where it doesn't matter, just a little, but for the most part, there is factually an order. And I guess to end it, right, and to end my final thought, I'm actually almost conflicted on that aspect in it of itself, because it's an interactive thriller. And so it needs to have a beginning. I don't want to come across like I'm just going to blindly defend them, because I don't want it to come across that way. I'm not. I really don't think so. It's kind of a struggle in my own mind where it's like, did I want this game to be more of a Witcher or Mass Effect, even though those games, though, there are things that have to happen, right? But there's a lot of different ways of getting to certain things in games like that. Were we expecting that with this game where it has a beginning, middle, end. It's got a storyline that goes completely through, but how you achieve certain goals is up to you. There's more than one way of doing it. And, again, the confliction is, I don't even know if I want 5 or 10 ways of doing it, but can we get 2 or 3? Because in reality, some of the things of doing it, I'll give you one example. You need to, at some point, knock the cop out, okay? The only way to do that is by baiting him to go into your room to flick the light switch on. It's the only way to do it. And honestly, the only way to get him to go in there is if you drug your wife and have her pass out through sleeping pills, okay? That is the only way, and you need to do that. In order to progress the story, you need to knock the cop out so you can interrogate him. And there's only one way, and I literally just described it. You need to do it step by step. Your wife needs to go in the room. She needs to be asleep. You actually need to switch the light switches on and off so that when the cop does it, he gets knocked out. The cop needs to go in there. There's only one way that can play out, but it needs to happen. And a lot of the game is like that. That's just one example. There's many other examples where it's very formulaic. And I guess, again, the question for you guys and the question even for myself, like, is that what we were expecting? I will say, honestly, no. I was kind of expecting a little bit more freedom, but I also am not that mad at it. You know what I mean? I'm not upset. And again, I guess the other biggest thing in terms of disappointment is time. Like how long you actually, not 12 minutes, but how long you actually spent in the game. You know, I didn't expect it to be 2.5 hours, I'll tell you that right now. A lot of the reviewers that played this game, I saw like 3 or 4 specifically say 10 hours, actually a little bit over 10 hours. So that's kind of crazy because I couldn't imagine playing, and maybe that's the thing, right? It is so repetitive, and you do have to do the same thing over and over sometimes. Actually, you almost do the same thing 3 or 4 times in a row for certain loops, okay? I can see if you're playing the game for 10 hours, you are literally just going to see the same thing over and over again. Even with the different endings and slight variations, I don't know. I don't think I could spend more than 3.5, 4 hours. I did see a couple people tell me it took them 4 hours. So, you know, this is a game that I think you could beat 3-4 hours max. If you're spending more time with it, I'm going to assume that you're not going to like it, because I think the more you play it, the more that the weaknesses kind of show off. So, you know, again, I'm happy I played it. I really am. I'm happy it finally came out. You know, I don't want to forget about this game just because it's been an important thing to me for the past 6 years. I've been rooting for this game kind of quietly and then loudly on YouTube. So I wish them the best. I hope the game does well. I hope that they, you know, make future games and they can fix some of the problems and kind of expand. If you look at this as like the first of its kind, like literally the kicking off point of future things and improvements to be made, I think it's fine. I really do. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, if you guys aren't already, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. You want to follow me on any of my social media accounts or support us there. I have a Twitter. I have a second YouTube channel. We also have Patreon and YouTube memberships if you want to support us financially. All the links for those are in the description below, okay? Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you all on the next video.